My dearest, most faithful student, Twilight. You know that I value your diligence and that I trust you completely, but you simply must stop reading those old dusty books. My dear Twilight, there is more to a young pony's life than studying, so I am sending you to supervise the preparations for the Summer Sun celebration in this year's location, Ponyville. And I have an even more essential task for you to complete. Make some friends. Your devoted teacher, Princess Celestia. I stared at the letter in astonishment, then flushed and wiped away the slobber I'd gotten all over the end of the scroll. I was a little relieved to see that none of it seemed to be sticking to the surface. Magic paper indeed. This was a royal letter and a historical document. I carefully rolled it back with my hooves and returned it to its cubby, selecting another scroll. This time my fingers folded out the nudge and nudged into my hooves. My dearest, most faithful student, Twilight. I know there are no words that can adequately express the loss of your friend, Big Macintosh. I realize that, in times such as this, words cannot convey any cure for the pain that we feel when one of our own dies. I am sorry that he died to protect me from the assassin's bullet, and curse myself that there is no way to undo what has happened. All ponies pass, and I know that one day you will be reunited with him. I am here at the school if you should ever need me. Your devoted teacher, Princess Celestia. I sighed, rolling up the scroll and returning it to the rest. I couldn't discern any order or other method of filing. Twilight had probably had each one memorized. I pulled out one more. The dark silver ink, and the look of the writing had a slightly cold tone. My dearest, most faithful subject, Twilight. We wish to express our profound dismay at the lack of progress towards the war effort. Have we not provided you with every resource in the kingdom to your ministry? Do you not have at your disposal the most brilliant minds of our time? Yet when we ask what is being done to counter the development of zebra balefire weaponry, we do not hear of our own magical weapons being devised, but instead talk of ethics and discussions about if it is right to weaponize mechaspells. You can be certain our enemies waste no time with such nonsense. We are sure your purification matrices and radiation nullification spells are admirable goals, but they will come to naught under zebra rule. We know your burdens are great, but while we will do all we can to help you bear them, we must know that you are up to the challenge. We know that you will not fail us. You never have. Your benevolent monarch, Princess Luna. Wow. The contrast was night and day. Not at all what I expected from Princess Luna, but then why had I expected differently? Luna was running an entire kingdom. If she failed, then the whole country would fall. Even if she won the war, there'd probably be a whole lot of ponies pissed off at her for every little thing that went wrong during the fighting. I frowned as I tapped the scroll softly against my lips. Luna. I suddenly realized that I knew nothing about what Luna actually did to run the country. The ministries took care of the war effort. The OIA took care of the dirty business. So what was Luna doing the whole time? I knew more about Golden Blood than I did the monarch of the country. I sighed and shook my head. A smarter pony might be able to unravel all this. I just shot things. Carefully, I put the scroll back in the cubby, walked to the desk, and started looking at the books on it. Maybe I could figure out which one was Life Bloom's. Predictions and Prophecies, Elements of Harmony, a reference guide. And most curious of all was the book on top. Magical Exercises for Young Unicorns. I looked at it and a pen note sat atop it. Dear Marigold, I'm sorry you've been having problems with Terret. While most unicorn fillies her age have started using their magic, it's uncommon for there to be delays. I used to think that my horn was completely useless. Tell her not to be frustrated. This book should provide her with some exercises to get her horn working, as well as a few useful and interesting spells of note that she might find helpful. Your cousin, Twilight Sparkle. I sighed. I need you to get a book, Life Bloom had said. Very sneaky. Giving me a book on rebuilding my magic rather than letting me kick myself for being a failure. With a note from Twilight to my ancestor even. I sighed and slipped the book into my saddlebags. Okay, I get the message. Stop freaking out. Cut out the self-hating and start doing better. I get it. About time, the dealer rasped, and I spun, tripped, and fell on the back, looking up at the old buck, his milky eyes staring down at me as he worked his cards. I thought they'd cut you out of my brain, I shouted as I thrust my hoof out at him. Oh, I reckon there's more than enough left that you're not using for me to hide in, he said dryly with a smile. Yeah, well, you missed your big chance. I couldn't open the door. I'm not related to Twilight, I said with a smile as I spread my hooves. Why should I care if you are or aren't? Makes no difference to me, he said as he turned a card with a picture of Twilight on it, and flicked it at me with his hoof. Twilight, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, he said as he flicked one after the next at me. I collected the cards in my hooves. They've all been gone for 200 years. What do they matter? Why get worked up over corpses? I looked at the spread of cards and glared at him. Because they were good mayors. They tried to save the country and do good things. They tried to do better. Even though they blew the whole damned world to hell. Well, so long as they tried. He snorted. I've known ponies whose fuck-ups have killed millions. Trying doesn't mean shit. Consequences, those are what matter. Twilight Sparkle and her friends tried, but they ran Equestria into the ground. Shut up, I said as I rose to my hooves. Trying matters. Even if they failed, there's nothing in making the effort. It's better than giving up. The 6 cards returned to his hooves. Pinkie Pie tried to make every pony happy through drugs and eliminating bad memories. Fluttershy modified memories to change the pony's very selves in the name of taking away pain and suffering. Rainbow Dash killed only goddesses knows how many. Applejack made the weapons of war that killed millions, including her own brother. Rarity spun lies into truth and made deception a whole new art form. And Twilight pursued one magic trick after the next, hoping to find one that would work. A foolproof spell to win. I flinched as he flicked the cards with his hoof again. And all any one of them had to do was quit. What? I blinked, staring up at him. That's all. One resignation. One, that's all it would have taken. Rainbow Dash quitting would have knocked out the Pegasi and forced Luna to surrender. Applejack retiring would have thrown the war production into disarray. The heads of the companies under her fighting tooth and hoof for her position. Fluttershy's resignation would have been joined by hundreds of doctors, nurses, and medical staff, and any of those 6 quitting would have led to the resignation of the other 5. He gave a dismissive snort. With the ministry mayors gone, the whole government would have folded like a deck of cards. But Equestria would have lost the war, I protested. So what? He asked softly, but with a tone of such contempt that he made me pause. He gestured out the window. Are you saying this is any better? The zebras had lost so many people that they were forced to use robots, tanks, and missiles because they couldn't continue the traditional way of fighting. A victory for them would have meant them returning home and the abdication of Luna from the throne. All it would have taken was those 6, any one, and Luna would have been unable to continue the war. So what are you saying? That they were scum for fighting for what they believed in, or that I should give up? I asked with a sigh. I am saying that you are wrong for thinking that they were flawless. I am saying that they made mistakes. They did what they did for all the wrong reasons. He looked around the office and sighed. This isn't a bad place, Blackjack. You could make a life for yourself. You and your friends, away from the hoof. I can't, I said softly. I sat still for a few hours after coming back from the dead, and then went and apparently got myself and little Pip all shot up. I can't stay here in Tenpony, assuming I could afford it, and they'd let me. Get therapy. Helping Hoof will work with you on that. But you need to do this because it's the right thing to do. To fight because it's the right thing to be fighting for. He lifted the card of Twilight Sparkle. Because if you're doing this because you feel like you have to, then, related or not, you are exactly like Twilight Sparkle and the rest of her friends. I sighed as he disappeared, leaving me alone again. Of all the times for him to show up, why now? I carefully removed that note from the book. Was I taking this because of things that happened 2 centuries ago? Or was it because I wanted to get my horn to work again? Because I wanted to do magic on my own? I read the note 3 more times and sighed. No. I'm Blackjack, and no matter how lacking I might be, I was supposed to do magic. A unicorn mare is more than an earth pony with a horn. I trotted back out and saw Life Bloom waiting for me. He had the oddest look on his face. I tapped my saddlebag and mouthed, "Thank you." For a moment he paused and then smiled. Hodge was looking at me too, a touch worried, but I smiled back and nodded, and that seemed to put her more at ease.